Okay, I wanted to go over this information with you specifically on the credit report and the key parts. And so what I wanted to point out to you, where I've handwritten here, that on the employment loans here, these don't affect you. The credit card information is what affects the credit score the most. So here's what the criteria is. If you have a $5,000 limit like you do on this Chase card, you get high scores if you use a very small portion of that. And as you use more of that $5,000 in your credit, up to about 50%, you're still given points, but as you get closer to 50%, you get less points, and at 50%, you get 0 points. Okay? Now, as you go over 50%, so in this particular case, that'd be $2,501, your 50+%, they're going to start taking points away. And the more points they take away is consistent with the higher you go. So in your case, you're 100% plus, so you're probably 105% or 101 or 2 or 3, anyway, you're over 100%. They're taking points away in a big way. And that's a negative for your credit scores. So to get good credit scores, you want to be about 10% of your limit, which is this number right here. Okay? Now I'm going to show you a couple others. Okay, this is what we just looked at. Now the same thing, you've got the same thing going on at Capital One Bank, where your limit is $2,550, but you're over that. You're over 100% of the limit that they've allowed you. That's a big negative, and it causes your score to go down. And then we've got one more down here where your limit at Capital One Bank is $1,500, and again you're over it by 100%, or you're at 100%, over 100%. So it's the same as above. So when the credit algorithm looks at this, they look at you as you've extended your capacity, and when you're at that particular level, they are very concerned with the fact that you're running out of money, you've used your credit cards to the max, and your next step could be bankruptcy. And so that is one of the main reasons why the credit cards use this criteria, because if you file bankruptcy, the credit cards are unsecured, they get nothing. So it scares them to death when people have used all of their limit, and their next step, they indicate, is bankruptcy. And on this next page, you've got the same thing going on with Discover. You've got 99% of the usage there. On the Wells Fargo, it's 90+%. And so the best way to help your scores is to pay these guys down. In other words, the ideal thing, instead of having $565 on this account, you'd want $65. So there's a lot of work to do there. On the $1,200 limit, and you've got $1,156, you'd want to have $120 is what you want them to have on there to get the biggest potential bump in your scores. So that's really what's going on with the credit here, and it's a good lesson for us to see and show that, and even in this one, the best one is where you're using somewhere in the 80% range, and this needs to be about $50. So really a big boost to your credit score is paying these guys down, and that should be your main focus right now in an effort to get your scores qualified so that you'll qualify for a mortgage. So hopefully, I don't mean to be harsh or anything like that, but it's just the facts, is this is how credit scoring works. It's all about the balances compared to the limits on your revolving credit score. Obviously, any late payments, and you've done great, you don't have any late payments on here, but if you had late payments, that's the other big factor. So anyway, the limits compared to the balance, and you want to get them about 10% of the limit. Okay? So hopefully that's helpful to you. Bye-bye.